The formation of the Gang Suppression Unit, the GSU, was announced in April 2010 by Prime Minister Dean Barrow. Since then, Marco Vidal has been at the helm of the GSU. That is, until March 4, 2014, when Superintendent Lyndon Flowers officially took over the reins of the unit, which is made up of just under 30 officers. Love News sat down with Superintendent Flowers yesterday evening, and we asked him what the public can expect under his administration.
I'm aware that the unit has had its plans. There's a 3 and a 4 year plan, and I will certainly make use of the plans that has been there and continue to build on those plans. I have not exactly met with the Commissioner of Police as yet and the wider department and look at our structure and our strengths and weaknesses, but over the next couple of days I will take a inventory of where we are and what we have and moving forward. I will use every resource at hand, including the community support and the media and the members of the police department, current GSU members, to impact on the surge in the gang or criminal activities across the country.
And while Flowers intends on building on the current plans of the unit, we asked him to comment on the recent Gino Peck case, which brought about much public scrutiny and outcry. We asked for his comment because just about 1 month ago, when Peck was rendered a fine after being found guilty of ammunition offenses, Flowers, who was outside the courthouse on January 31, 2014, told the media, quote, "I have not been satisfied with the events from the time leading up to Gino Peck's arrest and detention. It could have been dealt with differently. The powers that be at the time at the Belize Police Department, for one reason or the other, blinked," unquote. Now, 32 days later, Flowers finds himself at the head of the unit that took much flack for the Peck incident, since it was the members of the GSU that conducted the search of Peck's home.
I did not say that I was particularly concerned how it's handled by the GSU. Okay. If there is intelligence and the police is in the execution of your duties in an attempt to deter, prevent crime or apprehend offenders and conducting investigation, you're able to put questions to any person. If you get an information, whomever it is, and it will be reviewed and checked out, and I believe the matter, Gino Peck, could have been further investigated. He could have been called upon by the Commissioner of Police then and the GSU to explain firstly the situation that he came by these 5 rounds of ammunition and the other ammunition that he has there, and those further investigations would have led to a different outcome, to my mind, to date.
Now that you are the head of the GSU, how would you deal with a situation if something similar pops up in terms of somebody outside of the GSU unit but within the police department is found with any kind of or doing any kind of criminal wrongdoing? How would you deal with something like that? Do you believe that officers are supposed to be treated the same way as civilians? Or how would you deal with something like that?
The matter would be further investigated. The officer would be the person who we suspect. And there's 2 matters going on here. That if Gino Peck is indicating that he had kept these items as part of an inventory during his 22 years of service. And then there is another case if there is a police officer, because there are persons who may be keeping these items for illegal purpose, for distribution in the black market for that reason, or be distributing or selling or causing it to get into the wrong hands, or is reckless. The situation that we brought to bear on Gino Peck case was that the items were found under his bed. It is not that it is to be allowed to be kept. His supervisors should have had a better inventory. There is discipline in the Police Act at Section 24 that speaks to care and protection of items that come into your possession when you are a police officer. And there are standing orders in every unit. The GSU have, all the other units have equipment that is kept by an officer one way or the other, and you either declare them, you deposit them, you return them at the end of the tour of your duty. And if it comes to be that you keep them at your house and you are not selling them or anything, it is a situation that is, but as I said on that day on the courthouse, is that this is a conversation that has to be continued.
But while Peck's case could have been handled internally, there have been several instances where the Gang Suppression Unit has been accused of using excessive force when dealing with the criminal elements and suspected offenders. Flowers told us that he would revise that aspect of the unit.
In the course of my observation of the Gang Suppression Unit, I would look at the matter of justifiable force and harm. Where it comes to how you use the force that is authorized against a person, and the criminal code clearly outlines how, from where you use force up to, and what minimum or what maximum you use force to. Certainly if somebody come up to a police officer, or an officer is engaged in a situation where his life is threatened or that of his colleagues, then the force there is used to deter and reduce that threat.
No, but don't you think that it is that very same aggressive behavior that instills fear in the criminal element for the, or towards the GSU?
The police department, the laws of Belize, and the citizens at large, be it law-abiding or somebody who is committing or is suspected to have committed a breach, there are systems in place to have that person brought before the court. The police department is one part of the criminal justice system, right? The court is another part of the criminal justice system, and the court and the laws have not given the police the right to use force on the police officer. When the force is used, will be called upon to justify the force used.
Reporting for Love News, I am Renee Trujillo.